All right, welcome everybody to the Week 10 preview. How are we in Week 10 of the fantasy season already? Am I getting recorded right now? Cheers, everybody. So, Week 10 preview, back by popular demand. First of all, congrats to Marissa on an excellent recap. Recap number 2. You only need one more to catch up to Marcel, and be a 3-time recap champion. We'll talk about in a little bit why you wouldn't have had to do the recap if you reconfigured a little bit, but nonetheless. So on to our Week 9 recap before we get into the Week 10 preview. First game was the highest scoring game of the week, myself and Justin. Unfortunately, he pulled off the 152-146 victory. He had the highest score in the league last week. I, of course, had the second highest score in the league. So, bad luck for me. Justin Fields scoring 41 points is ridiculous. Obviously, I'm disappointed getting 27 points out of Walker and 25 points out of Etienne and still getting a loss. There was nobody on my bench that would have made a difference. Swift could have got me 3 more points than Deion Jackson did, but it still wouldn't get me a victory. And maybe if the stupid Chiefs kicker could make a few kicks instead of missing an extra point and a 40-yard field goal. But it is what it is. We're moving on. Next, from our highest scoring game to our lowest scoring game, we have Marcel defeating Marissa 93-73. So Justin was the high scorer this week. Marissa was the low scorer, and like I said, did the recap. Marissa lost by 20, and she had an extra 20 points on her bench in the form of Kenyon Drake. And she starts him over, I forget which running back scored 4 points for her. She would have tied Marcel. That would have had a tie game, and of course she would have avoided the recap. Marcel got decent games out of Patterson and Stevenson. Didn't have a good game, but win's a win. I'd rather score 93 and win than 146 and lose. So is what it is. Moving on. Besides the Marissa Marcel game, none of the games had bench points that would have made a difference for anybody. So just quickly recapping, Kyle behind our Lord and Savior Joshua Patrick Allen wins 140-119. We'll talk about Josh's elbow in a minute. Tom Jessup with the 111-82 victory over Larry. Big game out of Devontae Adams. Tom McGrath scored 140. His highest scoring player was his defense, 26 points out of the New England defense. Beating Courtney 140-80. And then finally, second highest scoring game in fantasy history for Joe Mixon this past week, 54 points. I think with the decimals, it was like 55-something. Joe Mixon scoring 54 points, and then Mahomes throwing another 33 in there for Rob to get to 140, and defeating Ken 140-109. So that is your Week 9 recap. On to what we got going on Week 10. So we're starting tonight. We have the matchup that everybody has been waiting for clearly in the NFL, which is Falcons versus Panthers during a hurricane. So, big game tonight, clearly in jest. But also, first place in the NFC South is also 4-5. So it's not like, either team is literally out of their division race right now, even though the Panthers are clearly in tank mode at this point. As far as the game tonight goes, Marcel and Marissa will be the big people who are focused in on the game, because Marcel's got Pitts, Moore, and Patterson going, basically the 3 biggest names in the game. And then Marissa's going to have Deontay Foreman and Terrence Marshall going, and then Tom Jessup's also going to have Drake London going in the game. Mariota's currently sitting on waivers. I don't really see a reason for anybody in this league to need him. Larry's got Burrow on a bye, but he's also got Daniel Jones, so I think that's a better play than Mariota anyway. So that's that for tonight. As far as the game goes, I think the Falcons are, they actually played a great game the last game, but the Falcons need the game more, and hopefully Kyle Pitts will finally start playing up to the potential that we need him to play to. As far as this week goes, we got 2 matchups between current playoff teams that will help probably decide things in our league. We got myself and Rob 7-0-2 versus 5-4, And then we have a big game between Kyle and Tommy McGrath, 7-1-1 versus 7-1-1. So those games could help decide some playoff things. Pretty much every other game is either between a playoff team and a non-playoff team, or two non-playoff teams going against each other. Yeah, so we'll see what happens with those games. As far as the standings go at the moment, your first place team is Rob. He is 7-0-2. He has a 99% chance of making the playoffs. Next up is Kyle at, 7-1-1. Also has a 99% chance of making the playoffs. Tommy McGrath is tied with him at 7-1-1 in third place. Kyle looks like he's got a 15-point lead on Tommy right now. Tommy also has a 99% chance of making the playoffs. And then Justin is in fourth at 6-2-1. He has a 99% chance of making the playoffs. Next up is your scoring leader. Leads the league in points. We were talking, of course, about me, who is at 5-4 despite leading the league in points. Ridiculous. I have an 85% chance of making the playoffs. Ken is also 5-4 with a 73% chance of making the playoffs. And then the only other team that's outside the playoff race that is looking like they have a shot at the playoffs right now is JJ at 4-5. He has a 34% chance of making the playoffs. And then Marcel at 3-6, 7%. Larry at 2-6-1, 2%. Tom, Marissa at 2-7 with 1% chance, and then Courtney at 1-8 at 1%. I think obviously we had a trade that got vetoed this week, so I think fantasy football etiquette should be something we discuss right now. So talking about fantasy football etiquette, what is the right things, the wrong things to do when it comes to this time of the season? I don't think there's a right answer. I don't think there's like a bylaw that needs to be followed. But at the same time, there's some gray areas. I was talking to Kyle, and he basically said, "Am I not allowed to trade with a team that's 1-8?" I said, "You're not allowed to trade with them. It's not that you can't. But if the trade doesn't look good, you're going to get a lot of backlash." And obviously, I set this league up in a way where I eliminated the veto. Or the group vote. Basically, commissioner can decide, that a trade is being vetoed. And, at this point, a lot of times this late in the season, if somebody's not really paying attention, they say, screw it, I'm 1-8, I don't care. They might accept a trade that is not exactly favorable to them. I don't think that trade was as bad as some of the guys were making it out to be. Obviously, Andrews has been hurt. Chase has been hurt. Kyle was looking at the playoffs, not at the immediate use. But, is what it is. Also, fantasy football etiquette. Obviously, till the end of the season, you have to continue to set your lineup. Just because you're out of it doesn't mean you can't, play the spoiler and knock somebody else out of playoff contention or make them avoid a bye or something like that. So make sure you're setting your lineup. As far as ad drops go, I have no issue at all with a team that is not going to make the playoffs still adding free agents. I don't see any problem with it. There was a fantasy football debate going on Twitter today. I was reading a thread, and somebody said it was collusion for somebody is playing the guy who has Josh Allen. And so the guy who's playing against the guy who has Josh Allen picked up the good quarterbacks that were left on the waiver wire. So if Josh can't play, this guy can't potentially pick him up. And he's like, oh, that's cheating. I don't think that's cheating at all. I think that's good strategy. That's gamesmanship. So, feel free to debate about the merits of fantasy football etiquette. On to our final standings projections, which after just last week, I talked about how they're finally correct because they had me projected for first place. I now think they're stupid again because they have me drop down to fifth. As we sit right now, it has Rob going from first to third, Kyle going from second to first, Justin going from third to second, Courtney going from fourth to 12th, JJ going from fifth to seventh, Marissa going from 6th to 9th. Marissa's always going 6 to 9. It's always funny. Ken going from 7 to 6. Tommy McGrath going from 8 to 4. Tom Jessup going from 9 to 11. It's got Larry staying at 10, me going from 11 up to 5, and Marcel going from 12 up to 8. As far as the real games go, we're looking at... where is it? Scoreboard. Where's my scoreboard? Bear with me. There it is. As far as the actual games go, the Bills-Vikings game, I like our chances at home against a Vikings team that I frankly think is a little bit overrated. But obviously a lot of that's going to depend on Josh. If Josh is not playing in the game, which he didn't practice Wednesday or Thursday, that will certainly sway the opinion. I still think we're a talented enough team that we could win with Case Keenum. He's not a bad quarterback, but we definitely wouldn't be the favorites anymore playing a good Vikings team with Case Keenum at quarterback. Revenge game for Keenum and Stephon Diggs. Moving on, Dolphins are taking on the Browns in Miami. Hopefully it's a big Nick Chubb game, but Dolphins are rolling right now. It's going to be hard to beat them. Giants are hosting the Texans. That should be an easy win. Obviously, it's any given Sunday, but the Giants should, off a bye, beat the Texans. Who we got left? Jets are on a bye, so we have to talk about them. And Cowboys are at the Packers. Packers look pretty terrible right now, so that should be a very winnable game for Tommy's Dallas Cowboys. I feel like I'm missing something. I don't know. Is what it is. So that is your Week 10 preview. I'm going to enjoy this, glass of very classy wine in my plastic Buffalo Bills cup because I broke both the glass ones. And enjoy some Thursday Night Football, like I said, between the Panthers and the Falcons in a hurricane. Enjoy, everybody. Cheers.